All right, so we're one, two, three, four, five. Okay, so we are live and on all five platforms. We're going to play an intro, allow people time to come in. Oh,
Okay.
hang on, I've not done it this way in a while. All right, here we go. Okay, so we'll be back. Your mics will be hot. All right, what is that noise? Can y'all hear that? Oh,
Yeah.
that's just me. Okay,
Might
no,
be
that's
Homer.
cool.
Is it
No, we're good. We're
is it
good.
my motor of my pyramid
No,
maybe?
no, no. You're good. You're good.
Okay.
Your pyramid is awesome.
Thank you very much.
Let me get everything situated real quick because I haven't used Zoom in a while. Okay,
Okay.
cool. All right, so we're good. We're live on all of our platforms. Welcome everybody. I think do we have the link sent out to your friends, or do we need to make sure?
I sent it to them.
Okay, so they could go to my page. They can use this link and come into the Zoom room.
Okay. I'll send it to the group just
Yeah,
to be sure.
yeah, they can come to
Thank you
the
for
Zoom.
having me, by the way. Thank you.
Yes,
I'm
absolutely.
excited.
Yeah, I
Any
couldn't get on earlier. I don't know. My I guess browser needs updating and
Yeah, I think that's the only thing with the new system.
I couldn't
That's
even
okay.
find that. I'm not a technical
Yeah.
person, so
Well, based on what you got spinning behind you, I think you are a technical person.
oh, I mean earthly wise.
Yeah, right.
I only have one app on my phone. That's it.
There you
So
go. That's a true non-tech savvy person then.
yeah.
Yeah, so this is cool. Any brother of Delia's is a brother of mine. So
Thank
I'm
you.
glad
She
that
is
we
a sister.
yeah, she's something else.
Hmm.
She's just I don't know what to say about Delia. Just
And thank you, Delia, for the kind words. Thank you.
Well, of
Thank you.
course. You're my soul brother. How would not? Of course.
That's
I
so
just
sweet.
love it when you're around. It's just like
Oh, thank you.
my soul just beams and it's happy just to see you. Your
Oh, that's so
vibration's
sweet.
completely soft and uplifting, and I'm like, ah,
I have my moments,
yeah.
we
but
all
we
do,
all
Just
do.
right? Yeah.
Yep. Hmm.
just so everybody knows, we're back on the Zoom for this episode. And we can only see comments in the YouTube and on my Facebook page. Those are the two that I can pull up. I can't pull up the other two. And we won't be
Okay.
putting the comments on the screen. You can also come to the Zoom room, although I don't think I put the link out there, but I guess this is fine. So yeah, you guys are part of a UFO group. Is that what it's called?
That's where we met. Yes.
Yeah. And I guess we should talk about that because I think that's a little bit, not necessarily right off the bat.
Okay. Hmm.
So Homer, where are you at? Are you in California?
I am in California, Northern California,
Okay.
Bay Area.
Okay. Oh, so so you guys have actually met. You got this UFO group meets in person.
Yeah. Yeah.
It
Yeah.
used to
We
meet in
normally do.
person. Yeah. Of course, with everything else, we had to close it down and meet via Zoom.
Yeah.
Hmm.
So Homer, what is your story? you're standing in
Ooh.
front or sitting in front of a pyramid with another pyramid spinning in the middle of it. We're going to have to
Yeah.
talk about that.
Hmm.
But so, how did you get to the point you are right now? Did you have a wake up experience like a lot of people did where they,
It was more like a knowing.
yeah,
Um, I mean, I'm a lineage holder of shamans on both sides of the family, on my mom's side of the family and my dad's side of the family.
well,
And they've and ancestors too that had galactic experiences and just intuitive people in my family.
wow. And
So
what,
I grew up with that, and I thought it was a normal thing until I would go to public school, and I realized not everyone knows about the things that I know about, or
wow.
it's like mythical,
So,
or fantasy.
were some of this, I guess, obviously was passed down just through conversations with your family, right?
um, in every generation, it's like a gift
Hmm.
that's available to those that want it. So not every people or family members in every generation had wanted it. But for me, I didn't know I wanted it until later in life. And I'm
Hmm.
glad I took the offer.
Yeah.
Hmm.
So what does that mean? Are you in contact with Star Family?
Yes,
In what way? Do you
Constantly. He's connected
constantly.
always.
It's like typical day at the office. It's a normal routine when I do my healing work. I am not only connecting with my um, galactic healing helpers,
yeah.
but also the person that I'm working with.
Their
So
team.
it's very interesting. I mean, I just worked on a woman a few days ago, and I saw a very interesting star being.
Wow. Was that Star being an aspect of the woman you were working on?
Yeah, so this is about and again, I'm sharing information of my client, but I'm not going into detail, of
Yes,
course,
of
like who it
course.
is and stuff. But
Yeah.
and I'm keeping it general. I'll leave her name out.
Yeah.
But it is the third time I've been working on her. Actually, one time last year, three times within the last few weeks, and the first time within this round, I kept seeing a dolphin. Like, okay, a dolphin. So my healing team, they show me images that um, give me clues or symbols that will give me clues to what a person needs for that session. And right off the bat, I kept seeing a dolphin, but I kept getting the message of fairy. So I had to, not until actually the last session, I went into my memory banks and I just had to see what was up with at least that. So when I see fairies, it's a symbol for me to let the client know that they need to lighten up or to start being happy again because they've been so heavy, emotionally, mentally, and so forth. So I would get a fairy, but at the same time, I was seeing a dolphin. But it wasn't a dolphin that we currently have here on this planet, on this timeline. It's a dolphin race, but it's also a fairy race at the same time. And the reason why I noticed the difference is that this dolphin comes from a race from dolphins with arms.
Okay. So like
And I
human
call them the Quanid.
the quantid.
Yeah. But not to say she is specifically one, but she may be an offshoot of what I know is the Quanid, fairy dolphin race.
I guess all hybrids,
Ooh.
or any hybrid is
There
possible.
are many. If you use your galactic mind and not your human mind, you will see a range of diverse beings out there that defy our human description and definition
Yeah.
of like what a fairy is or what an elf is or what a gray or a reptilian is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
How do you use your galactic mind? Versus,
Well, normally use it for my
but I
healing
mean,
work.
when you say if you look from your galactic mind versus your human mind, you can see things a little bit differently. How would
Yeah.
you explain to a person how you do that?
Oh, there's so many ways. Let's see. Let me see if I could pick one. Well, sometimes I do go to the libraries out there.
Hmm.
I also do my work at, I guess if you can call it a university. I do my work and teaching and healing work at a galactic university slash federation,
Mm.
and also slash army. So it's a lot of things. But I
Oh,
would
that's
go to the
cool.
libraries and I would search for the information. Sometimes I will get it and sometimes I won't. It depends where my level of consciousness is at the moment.
Yeah.
And if that information, um, if I am at a certain level where if I get the information, it will make more sense to me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Have Delia, have you had a session with Homer?
No, no. When's
Just
the
dinner.
barbecue, Homer? When's the barbecue?
When's the
I know.
barbecue?
No, we just
Wait,
had
it's
dinner
gonna
and
be
the meetings. Yeah.
no,
Oh,
it's
you
gonna
can.
be a breatharian type of barbecue, right? We're just gonna show up and breathe air.
It's a starseed pachanga, right?
There you go.
And we do
Oh,
have galactic parties, by the way. They are
oh, I
so much
know
fun.
that.
Star people know how to party.
I know that. I
Yeah.
That's some of the first memories that came in for me.
Yeah.
So yeah, they get pretty wild too.
Oh,
Well, I guess
yeah.
they. So now you guys have come together a couple times, but I mean, have you had any experiences like recognition, soul recognition, or star family recognition? Like Delia, have you seen anything in him, or did anything come
Yeah,
to you?
well, the first time that we went to dinner and we were talking, I kept getting a bunch of information. That's how our conversation began. And it's like, hey, I know you. And we're talking, we're like, yeah, I really do feel like I know you. I know your soul. So it was beautiful. And I think we've had it with a couple of other members
Hmm.
that overall their vibration, like to me, Lisa, who's another member of ours, just feels so in tune with and her connection. I feel that motherly energy in her area where I feel like I know her.
And these are
So
interesting times because more and more star brothers and star sisters are waking up. So it's a recognition, even if there is no direct contact or connection, there is some kind of connection or a familiarity about the person that could trigger something within us, like, oh, that person could be this, or maybe I, know this person from that.
Yeah.
So, but more and more, I'm seeing people with that recognition within each other, that
Mm.
connection.
Have you had any star family materialize in your experience?
Um, yes, actually. Um, so physically,
Yeah.
oh yeah. I mean, just because not too long ago, I was in Antarctica and I asked I put it out there to the penguins that I've seen. Well, it wasn't Antarctica. I was already in Chile, and I said, and just out of fun, I said, if there is a star penguin, let me know. And within a few seconds or minutes, a penguin. Now we had to stay on the path. We weren't allowed to venture off the rope. But here comes this little penguin going past the rope, heading right towards me, biting at my sweatpants leg and trying to pull me into its hole and kind of wanting to drag me to its home. And then I'm being reprimanded by the Chilean tour guide, like, hey, you're not supposed to go within 4 feet of the penguin. I said, I know that, but this penguin is coming to me and it's making that connection, like pulling me there.
Mm.
But I can kind of get a sense if an animal has galactic awareness.
Yeah.
So I knew this one did.
That's it. That's interesting because I wonder if the animals,
Mm-hmm.
of course, like us, have a physical body and incarnate physically,
Mm-hmm.
but pretty much are just like us in terms of being multidimensional. And
Oh yeah.
because I've had a lot of experiences with animals, more than
Mm-hmm.
probably anything. And if you just explain like your story, like as you were explaining it, it just sounds like a penguin walked up to you.
Mm-hmm.
But I've had too many experiences where I had with a couple of dolphins, lots
Oh
of
yeah.
birds, other
Mm-hmm.
animals, and there's just no way. It's
Yeah.
like like so. You asked to see star family related to the penguins, and a penguin, physical penguin, walks up to you. I just
Mm-hmm.
think it's
And there are
it's something
many
more.
galactic animals here as we speak. It's, just like with a fellow human, it's within the eyes that it's a
Yeah,
giveaway. And you could
yeah,
sense it too.
yeah,
Yeah. And out there, there's many animals out there in the universe. And even, I guess what you call hybrids or like a humanoid,
yeah.
like the fox humanoid beings and so forth.
Well,
Well,
I've
yeah,
never.
we would consider hybrids, but Homer
Yeah.
specifically, that's his jam. He's like the zoologist of the stars.
I love it. I mean, in this current, I guess, human life, my major in college was international relations. And I didn't care about the politics. I mainly cared about learning about the cultures and
Yeah.
countries. So it's the same out there. It's different planets, different worlds, dimensions, and the people.
Wow.
Hmm.
What's the craziest thing you've ever experienced?
Oh, oh,
There's too
shoot.
many.
There's too many.
I've heard them.
Yeah.
I heard some of them. There's just too many.
Oh man, there's so many. I mean, I could talk about Sedona because I heard you mentioned about Sedona, but there's like so many.
Yeah.
Um, Say a word and I'll try to go off on that.
Yeah. Well, what about like, okay, so you're a practitioner and you work with people.
I do.
Um, do you also receive like collective intel, like what's happening
Yes.
in the globe, and how does that?
Oh yeah. I mean, currently, I mean, I work with a wide range of beings, and um, I would say within the last 3 years, I've been working with the Seraphim Angels, which are known for its global work and not really individual work. So for me, it was a blessing and honor to be working on a project with the Seraphim Angels. Even within the last few months, they've done some amazing work, upgrading my DNA, everything and
Wow.
it's just amazing. So they are more on the global scale of things or planetary,
Yeah.
but for some reason they are working with me and a few others individually. I mean, not to say we're special or any kind. I'm not like saying
No, I
that, but
got you.
they just
Yeah.
decided to pick us, I guess.
But yeah, and so I asked some of these questions because there's so
Uh-huh.
many people waking up now, and
Oh yeah.
we
Uh-huh.
absolutely get your humility. There's no doubt. I mean, you're the real deal. So you don't have
Thank you.
to. But so, like for instance, when somebody's working with a kingdom or a certain cosmic species like the seraphim,
Hmm.
uh, how do you know that you're working with them? Do they come in and tell you? Do you tell anybody else about it? Do you know anybody else that's working with them?
Um, I do. So, well, I always say use discernment, and I'm also very protected when I do my work or when I'm doing work involving connection. So it's kind of like I guess a certain vibration
Mm,
that is very familiar to me. It's kind of like how an animal knows each different person through its scent.
yeah,
It's kind of like, okay, this one feels like a vibration of a fairy. This one is a vibration of a angel, and of course, a vibration of a ghost or earthbound spirit, and so forth. So it's like a little, it's kind of like a benchmark, or in my tool bag, it's like a meter, knowing like, okay, that's more towards that one.
yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
I hope I answered your
No,
question.
no, you did. I'm just asking for as
Oh, I love questions.
so do you have, a lot of people talk about their galactic lineage,
Mhm.
and I've never really uh been able to, put my finger on what makes sense. To me, I guess in the end we know it's all one, so I guess we're
Mhm.
everything, but is there a, because I've heard people say it's important to know your galactic lineage. Is it important to know your galactic lineage from your perspective, and what is yours?
For
If
me,
you
it depends on what your assignment is on this planet.
mm,
Sometimes there are galactic people here that may not have a global assignment. It may be just like an individual assignment, maybe go to work on a local level, or maybe not do anything.
mm,
So it depends on the assignment. For me, I've already known what assignment that I need to do. And in terms of galactic lineage, um, I already had that awareness of my star people. And we specifically chose the family line that I am currently in. Um, so we pick families whose DNA has like a special twist to it, where it can hold in more light, as
mm-hmm,
opposed to the um, I don't want to, well, average human.
yeah.
So I specifically chose the family line that I am in, knowing that it can hold a little more light, and that awareness will be there when needed.
Suit your purpose. Suit your
Yes.
purposes.
Mhm.
Delia, do you know yours? I'm just curious.
Well, what I think we have a lot of aspects, and what I've been able to tap into is those aspects
Yeah.
a lot of the time. Like I've mentioned before, even with meditation, I've been shown my last part when I was here physically on Earth, I was not a human. So that those connections that I feel the strongest and what I was pulled to. So when I was
What were you, by the way? What were you?
it was kind of like Lyrian slash Hawthorne kind of breed.
Yeah, yeah.
It's intermixed. So I understand that when it says, especially with hybrid, it's not just one thing. And this is the same thing
Yeah.
that happens with the Arcturians and everything else, that there's also multi-dimensional levels of the fifth, sixth, and seventh dimension of even within that. So it's not only the difference in genetics, it's also the classification of their how much light in coding they're able to hold.
Mm-hmm.
And this is one of the biggest things that whenever we get together, or even on Zoom with the group, me and Homer start talking about dimensional timelines and everything else, how you technically don't have that this section of time because they're
Yeah,
able
there's
to
no past, present, and future. It's like happening all at
exactly.
once. But like I
Exactly.
will use the term past life because that's more familiar
Yeah.
for people, and to wrap their brains around that
Yeah,
linear time.
exactly.
So
So
I use that, yeah.
yeah, so in
Uh,
technicalities, we're all in that together. But I think for me at this moment, a lot of it has been the Arcturians,
Mm-hmm.
since it's being pressed into me, it to me at least a lot more. And I've been working with their healing technology and everything else that's been coming and finding those connections. But whenever I find things like Homer, I feel like there's a serious aspect that just comes in and just like integration and boom, here you go. And slowly more awareness comes to that.
I've always
But
wondered.
because, yeah, I mean,
Go ahead.
go ahead.
mhm.
No, I was going to say I've always wondered about this, and it's still evolving. But because I get that, like if people like Homer and other practitioners I've talked to, they have these higher aspects that come in a system. My gut feeling is that's aspects of themselves. I mean, the visitations Morgan and I have had, uh, I feel like even though they took on materialization, that they were aspects of us somehow. Probably too complicated for the human mind on its own to comprehend. But what I've always wondered is, why are we present here? And 99% of the time, for most of us, we're conscious here as technically as our human aspect. With most of the time, it's changing rapidly. 1% or whatever of our full-blown multidimensional consciousness. Like, what is going on with this incarnation or set of incarnations? What's happening? What's the relevance of the earth realm in our experience here, Homer?
I guess it depends on who you speak of or the people you speak to, because at least for me, with the work that I do, it's about ascension and helping other people vibrate on higher levels and wake up on higher levels.
Mm,
Um, and depending on where their consciousness, where their awareness is at, it's like a new dimension opening up.
mm-hmm.
But if you speak to someone that may not be as awake, which is okay, everyone is, on their own journey. Not to say one is better than the other. Everyone is on a um, special journey, and it's sacred to them.
Mm,
But sometimes, if someone is on a lower awakened level, I guess, they may be in a different dimension, or it could look like the same world. Like it will look like Earth, but it is like and I don't want to say, when I'm saying low, it's not in any way
It's
putting,
denser. Yeah.
yeah, it's like,
yeah,
I guess, slower in vibration, I guess.
yeah.
Whereas higher vibrations, it's very
It's like a radio.
different.
Like our
Yeah.
radio frequencies. I mean, it's you
So
can
like
pick.
the ones that I've been working on over the years is all about ascension, healing, helping people, and just seeing them wake up too, and helping them remember.
Yeah,
Is I may say a word that may trigger an awakening in someone, and
yeah.
especially with the healing. Yeah.
True that.
Hmm.
What do you guys think about like just the the role though of is the human, this thing just seems like we're like at the epicenter, but I guess there could be an argument made that every single multidimensional aspect is an epicenter in itself. But there just seems to be something really, really provocative and special about this journey. And I know I'm biased, but um, the human is the hero. I mean, it just seems like that it's upside down. Like we thought we were this dense, slow vibrating entity or energy, and it just seems like to me that the more that this goes on, the more I'm realizing that we're the opposite end of the spectrum. Or I guess maybe we're both. I don't know, but that we have these supernatural powers that are actually going to come into play while we're in a physical body. Something like that. What are y'all's thoughts?
Yeah. I agree.
Okay.
Yeah,
What?
I think that overall with that spectrum just depends on who is the viewer. A lot of it has to do with personal. If they're in the negative, they're going to see always the negative. If they
Mm,
have something to finally shift, then they're going to finally shift and start seeing something a much larger in the picture of the greater scale of things.
yeah.
I just think that there is a lot of different things coming through for a lot of people, and that also includes activation. So a lot of people are starting to finally start looking into material like chakra systems and everything else.
Mm,
And from there, finding an expansion, it's not only 7 chakras, but there technically are 8, because we have the secret chamber of the heart, so we can have self-love for ourselves and also universal love. So one of those, sometimes it's a little bit off. You can have love for the entire community and the entire world and love humanity, and you can have some issues with self-loathing, self-esteem
true.
issues, and have some blockages there.
True.
And learning all those aspects, and that just depends also in what is the systems that's coming through. Then if we look into overall old traditional Eastern medicine as well, we have to look at the Chinese medicine of the meridians, the energy points and the portals that it actually is within the body. If we start thinking and expanding further to really take this into a quantum level. And overall, that's mostly what a lot of the energies that we integrate with are teaching us really how to push things through. And especially even with Homer, his pyramids that he built, by the way, there are 3.
Are those you built
Actually,
that?
more.
Did you build that thing behind you?
My dad and I built it. It was a collaborative effort for the
You
New
know,
Living Expo that we would have in
oh,
San Francisco.
I got to say this. He's one of only a very few people I've met that's actually born into a family that's basically a soul family, or at least there's members of that family. Because so
There
many of
are
the
some that are awake and some that are not
well,
awake
yeah, I mean
and
that's
are
yeah.
very mainstream, like my
But
brother and sister.
most of the people that come on the show
Yeah,
thought of themselves as the black sheep. Now they realize they were the golden child. But they came in, they chose the families, they chose to transform the ancestral karma.
hmm
And they all have pretty much the same story. They've been disowned, they've
I
been
know.
put in a psych ward, they've been incarcerated. But of course that's all leveling off now. But
Well, whenever I would do events, I would get asked the question about how does your family feel or how do your parents feel about you doing your work out here in public,
You're like,
at
parents,
an
they're right
event.
here.
And I
yeah,
would
right.
say they're okay with it. They're right here, and they were the
Uh,
ones that helped me. My dad and
that's
I,
far
and
out.
my mom, of course.
Eve Alta's on here, and by the way, she said you look gorgeous, Delia. Uh, but
I agree.
her daughter Vivian has been on here, and they have that same type of story. Where they
Mhm.
had one or two or three people that openly discuss this kind of stuff. And but to have a galactic element to it is a little bit more unique. It's a little bit more unique than the gypsy esque, and the kudendera and the and all that stuff.
Well, if I go into my human culture, which is Filipino, Philippines, um, they do have an aspect, but it is, I mean, of healing and
Mhm.
connection. But it's also on some level, not all, but sometimes it's, and not with my family, but connected with religious aspects to it. So
Mhm.
it kind of gets in the way.
You mean like snakes and stuff?
Well, like, I mean, I would
I'm
have a
kidding.
family member that would look at my altar and see different representations of even the different religions.
Yeah.
And my aunt would say, "No, you can't do that. God says you can't do that."
Hmm.
And I said, "Well, you know God by what your religion tells you.
Yeah.
I know God by what my soul tells me."
There you go.
Yeah.
Exactly, exactly.
And
So
I have a
there's
dentist
actually,
appointment with her on Saturday.
oh God.
Another thing I've now I'm not going to say I wondered, because if I look back at what I've received on a personal level, particularly a few years ago, for a period of time, which had to do with galactic history, galactic wars, specific star family lineages and stuff. I kind of got the impression, I guess is what I'm trying to say, that I totally get what Homer was saying about depending on what your mission is. And I've always known my mission is like y'all's, to be a light on the path for others, to help people ascend, basically. But I get the impression that some souls were born with the earth, and then there's some that come from the cosmos to assist, and you might call those first wavers. And I know it's kind of trivial, but I'm just curious, do you guys think that some souls were born here, or that there are younger souls?
Yeah, I was told that from the very beginning of my, I guess, reawakening. Because there was a period when I was in amnesia right after high school because I used my abilities in a not so good way. And I had amnesia for a period of time. But upon my reawakening, I was told about or my people.
Hmm.
Um, we taught humans how to be humans.
Yeah.
So we introduced, and I'm talking about, I guess, the prehistoric
Yeah.
humans. We taught them, we shared our knowledge, even the knowledge of Atlantis. We were involved with
Yeah.
that and so forth.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
hope I didn't lose you with that.
No,
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 you're making
I'm
sense.
Oh,
We get
I'm with
it.
you on that.
Yeah, I think too, I think a lot of it, when in my perspective of what I seen in retrospect, some people just wanna, what they want to do is get up, do be and enjoy what humanity really is. I've seen people, and I had a person that was close to me tell me, the star person basically, say, I don't want to deal with this. I'm going to go to amnesia. And it triggered her. I triggered her a lot, to the point that we couldn't be friends anymore, because it was showing up in her face of everything in my expansion and things that I was tapping into. So some people just, even though they know this knowledge, want to just do what they need to in a soul level, in the local level, and not really tap into higher, further than what they could. And others that are re-emerging and reawakening and finding all their truths just want to soak everything up. And one of my biggest things for everybody that's wanting to look and go further within themselves is 100% discernment. Just because one thing takes you into another doesn't necessarily mean that it is for you. Your body will tell you, your gut will tell you. You don't have to pick it up and absorb it. Sure, you can trigger yourself and be like, well, what it really is this about? But reality of it, in the end, you can take that as a lesson with the wisdom with it, and then just discard everything away. And that's the one thing I've always told people. Says you can take little glimpses and things. And then we also have that you should, don't do this, don't do that. You're hurting humanity. Even within the light worker community, telling other people you shouldn't be doing this or that or whatever, teaching certain things. It's like, who are you to tell somebody not to do something?
And
if
that's
they're
limiting.
going with the gut. Yeah, exactly.
And that's limiting. And at least my work is about expanding and not limiting anyone. And if that's what they want to do, they want to do, you know?
Yeah, infringing someone's belief system to be fitted into a box, which is like, who are you to tell that to somebody?
Yep.
Yeah. And even in this community, like you said.
Yeah.
And then the other thing that you were saying too, Delia, you know, you can wake up tomorrow and whatever you've learned up until yesterday is no longer relevant or no longer even useful. You've got to adapt and change. And I think that's more of that growth Homer's talking about, you know, that expansion, to be open to anything and everything. You know, there's no limitation, no cap on anything.
I mean, I do know people that they want to connect with aliens, but yet are afraid to even see one. So it's kind of weird. It's both sides of it.
It's like my wife. We saw a little gray in Hawaii. We were taking a walk, and she ran to the house.
Oh, in Hawaii?
Yeah.
There's a lot of activity.
I don't get it. But Morgan is really galactic herself.
She is galactic. She just likes to be laying in the bed holding my hand while we, you know, that way she can always put the covers over her head. But no, she's handled some situations. We've had some very, you know, where they did materialize situations. And, but those seem to have come in on the front end. Because we really haven't seen apparitions like that. That was 2 years ago. Very clear. They were translucent, very humanoid. 2 of them walked into me, but I found out later they were aspects of me that I needed to merge with. One was a Syrian and one was an Alpha Centaurian. And then here's another thing I get curious about. I think from what I've received and what I've heard people talk about, to me, it seems like that that type of contact is going to happen on an individual basis. Or maybe if you have a couple, or maybe a strong group of 2 or more gathering, like maybe the UFO group. But there's also the other side of it where people say, oh, there's going to be this big display of a bunch of spaceships appearing in the sky, and they're going to take us all through this collectively and explain everything. What are y'all's thoughts on that?
Well, that's also giving away into a narrative of some type of savior complex right there. True. And from what I've known, what my beings and my connections, my aspects have told me, it's always going to be a personal level. Yeah. It's going to be your personal choice that cannot infringe upon your divine free will. If you already set certain things up in your path, they're going to pop in. I'm sure that regardless of how we are, because if we're vibing high and we're in a different vibration that everybody around us is, we're going to be more acceptable to being let to be seen certain things.
True.
I've gone to small hikes around the area, and we spoke about this in our group, is if we seen overall the activity in the sky. And some of us have seen more things than others and have even experienced feeling the ships around us. It just depends on the level of where you're at. And we're even with this 3D mentality that sometimes we go very, very human in the aspects of, oh, right, I'm dealing with something really hard, versus when we're in high vibration, where our mind's at and those aspects are pulling our attention to, that's where us is going to be helping us bring in more of that. But personally, for me, it feels like it's more internal personal connection. If you want contact, you can ask for that with divine grace.
If they're ready, yeah. If they want it,
divine
yeah.
grace, exactly.
Yeah.
Just be prepared overall. Don't put a limitation in what that's gonna look like. And if you're in fear, then you're also perpetrating in your energy certain fear factors to possibly occur.
And that's a dimension already. And
Yes.
that, you anyone can sway into whatever dimension, because with every situation, with every circumstance, there is a dimension on this side and a dimension on that side and many in between. So depending on where your consciousness is at, this can happen if you put more of the energy in that one.
Yeah.
So like the scenario of many um, aliens in the skies appearing, that can happen.
That could be. That's right.
It could be, but also again, it's expanding your mind and not expecting a big visitation only through the ships, because we can always come interdimensionally, and a lot of us are here now. So
True.
we
True
are
that.
making our move.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Do you, Homer? Do you think that we'll get to a point, and if so, do you think it'll be soon?
I've been waiting.
Yeah, right. So many of us have that
Yeah.
where we'll actually remove the illusion of death, and it will affect our physicality in terms of our bodies starting to regenerate and gain more youth, and the disillusion of illness, and so on and so on.
Oh, that's a big question. How can I answer that? Can you repeat that?
Well, I mean, if you look at our experiences in dimension,
Yes,
uh, and with our familiarity with higher dimensions, there's no healing because there's no sickness. There's
exactly.
no lack because it's all abundant, and so on
Hmm.
and so on. Do you
Yes.
think that in our physicality, in our physical experience,
Hmm.
that we will convert this realm to that type of dimension, or have affect that, remove the illusion overlays, and
It
actually,
all depends, like what Delia was saying. It all depends on the person.
yeah,
There are people that will or are vibrating higher. So, with what you had just said, it's already a given. It's going to happen.
yeah, I'm
But
with
then
you.
there are those that are on the opposite end, which is okay too, because that's where they're at, that may not experience that. So it
Yeah,
really depends. There's so many factors involved.
yeah.
Yeah.
I just look at it like this: there's 7.7 billion people, and there's
Hmm.
7.7 billion Earths, and every
And
one
truths.
of them has a god. Yeah, so, or a
Yeah.
goddess. So,
Uh,
um, yeah, this is interesting. There's a lot of talk about, you know, if I look at you know, the subjects of, let's say, union, divine union, uh, and what I'm talking about is where there are two or more that gather, where they both have reached a certain, or whoever, however many number there is, have both reached a certain level of balance with their masculine and feminine, so to speak, and then they come together with another person or more, and there is a third energy that's created in this age of the Trinity that we're stepping into, that starts to take on a life of its own, influencing our lives and such, almost like an invisible hand moving stuff around for us. On top of that, sacred sexuality, the sacred sexual vibration that is somehow, in some way, a physical aspect, at least in part, where our real energy is, where our creative force comes from. These subjects and androgyny all kind of seem to be mingling together. Do you have any thoughts on that, on those subjects?
Well, a lot of the beings that I interact with, they have aspects of both, like male, masculine, and feminine, and even beyond that.
Yeah,
Many of them, even the angels, they could come in as a feminine energy in one session, in another session, a masculine energy.
yeah,
And
yeah,
yeah, many other star races as well.
yeah.
Sometimes it's a human concept.
Yes. Yeah, I agree with that. I agree with that. I'm not sure how that works. And I'll tell you something. I'll go ahead and share this because we were talking about this after the last show. I told you on the show this morning that I merged with my feminine last night. My feminine not being my wife, my feminine being me, right?
Mhm.
But it went deeper than that, and I didn't actually get that far with it. And right after the show, she sent me a note, and she said, "Do you know what happened last night? We haven't talked about it." And then it all came back. And basically, what happened was, now we've merged many, many times over 5 years. We were apart for 17 months before we ever met, so we did a lot of soul merging, chakra merging, uh, in the ethers before we came together, and it's still a common occurrence and so on. Last night, her her masculine light body and my feminine light body lifted out of my body. They were holding hands just like we do, right above us. And then above that, her masculine was giving himself to my feminine, straight up. And I felt everything, saw everything, she did too. And we hadn't talked about it until I got off that last show. And the reason I'm bringing this up is because it's fucking weird. No, I'm just kidding. But the reason I'm bringing this up, because it was, but the reason I'm bringing this up is because if this is happening to a couple, because I mean, the way I look at it, we do everything inside. We're in this incredible realm that we're starting to figure out just how much potential it has, where we're able to now externalize what's happening inside of us, which is fascinating. So if that's happening to a couple in Van Buren, Arkansas, it's got that energy's got to be out there. It's almost like everything's mixing now, and I just wonder why that's happening. And it just seems to me that would be, along with everything else, that we're moving it into a trajectory where we're actually taking on the characteristics of what we call higher dimensions.
Oh yeah,
Yeah,
yeah. It's more expanded.
yeah.
Like it doesn't have to be just feminine or just masculine.
No,
It can be both and even beyond that.
absolutely. I've got a couple of very good friends that are same-sex divine union. I mean, and
And
they're,
it gets rid of all that division that we have in this world. It's like we are
well,
truly all one,
that's right.
really.
That's right. That would be, to me, the last line of separation. Would be, we could stomach everything, but we get to the gender, and then we're like, okay, wait a minute, but that, it's all a thing. I mean, I had this discussion with my wife for 5 years, and I'd say, you know, uh, you know, uh, we're androgynous. Well, yes, we are, but we still have to get there. She'd say, you were born into your body for a reason. You chose this body for a reason, and I just think that a lot of the stuff that we're doing, all of us, because it involves our physicality, that it's a lot bigger than it looks. Like it's a lot bigger energetically, and a lot more meaningful than we might think.
Yes.
Anyway,
Yeah, especially
that's
with
what.
genders were given roles that were
Yeah,
given and that created
yeah,
separation.
yeah.
And this goes back to my time in as Egypt as a being, that when we saw the separation continue, how the matriarchal energy and then this shifting the patriarch happened, as well as intellectualizing everything. And then this is why I say to people, you can read whatever you want, you can consume whatever knowledge you want, but not until you embody it and be it will you be able to shift and have that personal growth and expansion further. And this is exactly, in other words, you guys are having, to me, it sounds like you guys are having an actual embodiment of merging of the actual energy. There's no more separation. And I think couples like you guys are going to start coming out having this. And I mean, we just heard Grace Solaris, she's finally meeting up with her divine partnership, and we're seeing well, I don't know yet, but when exactly, but overall we're seeing a lot of couples coming out saying, hey, I found my person. I know it, there's a feeling, there's a connection. And a lot of people, the singles, hey singles, rooting out hard.
All the single ladies. What's the name of that song? All the single ladies.
Oh, by Beyonce.
So this is also within the community, because I've also listened to a couple of amazing speakers, beautiful women and men coming out saying, well, I was getting ready to like really get out there in 2020 and then quarantine hit. But reality of it is this is actually for us in order to shift mentality, expand further. And it's not like the looking for. And I make jokes about it in my personal stuff as well as in our group. The best way you can actually date somebody is to get totally understands an alien, basically, and just making jokes about it. But reality of it is feeling complete, and you know, for the first couple of times being in the past 3 almost 4 years, I'm happy but with myself, wholeness with myself, and having that connection with myself.
And that should come first, you know, be happy and heal yourself first. That way you're at a certain vibration and it will attract that similar vibration.
Exactly. And I think that's finally getting into something that a lot of us need to start working on, which slightly individual level.
Yeah, but and that even includes far beyond a romantic relationship.
Yeah,
or a life partner. That's your job, the groups you associate with, and you know. And another point. Now we've had you know, quite a few experiences. Some of these experiences have been, I would say, call it physical herioscamas, where there's a physicality very similar to last night, but there was no physical. So imagine the physical occurring. I don't know how that would happen. The physical occurring while we're watching the higher selves, because as I get it, the higher selves are in the act, like last night. The light body is feeling it, and when the light body feels it, the human body feels it, and that's kind of like the trajectory of it. But my point is, over the years, we've had experiences, and at the same time that it's happened, Morgan will have 2 or 3 friends hit her up and say, let me tell you what happened to me last night. But it all happened within one individual, the same thing that happened to us. So, yeah, so it's, and I totally agree with the Homer saying too, because we get a lot of people come to us and they'll say, well, how do I find, you know, mostly it's her, but, you know, how do I find my partner? And the answer is, you know, clean yourself up, you know, bring yourself into alignment. You're going to attract like begets like.
Well, because if you have someone that is really of low self-esteem, but they want to be with someone, chances are they're going to attract that same vibration and maybe meet or connect with someone that will enhance that low self-esteem that a person has.
Yeah. Or
so that's why working on yourself. Yeah.
Yeah. Put it in your face. Cause like Morgan, she was channeling last night. She didn't remember this part. And it was in regard to the increased potential, the work, the not the fluffy love and light stuff when 2 people come together and they're that close. You know, I mean, I've interviewed a lot of couples, and you know, there's that friction that they're a mirror. They're truly a mirror, and it's a great opportunity, albeit difficult opportunity, or difficult or challenging, to have the choice of being able to accept that's me that I'm looking at. That's not her. That's not him. It's a mirror,
Mhm.
and we think of mirrors as like, oh, the fluffy love and light stuff, but it's the other way. To me, the value is the other way around.
Especially with what you call soulmates. It's like
Yeah.
people are seeing a mirror image of themselves, and sometimes they don't even like themselves, but they're
Mhm.
dealing with
No.
their soulmate that
Yeah.
they're in or involved with, and it can
Do you
be volatile sometimes.
Homer? Do you do any broadcasting?
Uh, well, I am on the shy side, so I don't do any broadcasting. I have done radio shows. I've done, you
Delia,
know,
Delia, you're going to have to work on them. I think
I know.
the,
I was talking to him before. They're just like,
you
okay,
are.
I'm nervous. I'm nervous. No,
Well, you know
he's
what I
amazing.
found.
thank
It's a
you.
4,000 plus productions that, even in observing other people, the first couple times, yeah, they are a little bit. But at
Well,
once,
see, this is my human side coming in,
yeah, of course,
human
it's like
aspect.
Morgan.
So that
Like my
nervousness.
wife, my wife won't come. I have to twist her arm, and yeah, that doesn't work. She comes on when she wants to come on, or when she's told to come on, basically. But there are a lot of them like that. There's a lot of people seem to step. I think you would be fantastic. You're very articulate. You're very humble. You're very
Thank
talented,
you. That means
skilled.
so much to me,
Yeah,
really.
I mean it. And we're looking for ways to expand, and we're in the process of doing that. And I think, yeah, you have a great persona and a lot to offer. So we would support that. Should you be
Thank you.
interested? And Batgirl might want to hang with you on it.
Well, I think all of us want to get back into our group and really start doing meetup
Mhm.
one on one, and because I know that Homer has his dad too, and that's one of the things. Older age and everything else concerns,
Mhm.
even though I
Oh,
know
okay.
Homer, it doesn't really exist in his life, it doesn't really exist in his world,
Mhm.
and he is a busy person, so it's like, oh,
Uh,
okay. Or else, if I know your address, Homer, I'll be outside.
I know, right?
If
Yeah.
and if you guys, we've been playing with having groups that get together. One of them is in person, and one of them's online from six ladies from around the world, to expose that where two or more gather, the same vibration, and
It
what that.
does make it stronger, actually. Yeah.
Well, that's what I was gonna say. I think it's one thing to have, like, say, Morgan and I. We
Mhm.
go on. People seem to get a lot out of it. We offer a certain code, but when you have three, four, five, six, seven people who are like-minded, no agenda, coming together like your group does, I think that's a whole different frontier, and we've had some success with it on three different shows, three different groups. But if you guys would be interested in that at any time, that's a standing offer. You guys want to get your group and just.
It's funny because with our group, sometimes there are different agendas, but for the most part, we do our best to harmonize with each other.
Oh yeah,
Oh,
that's
that's
true. I think
Yeah.
Homer is like the number one key holder as a co-host as well for the group. That he holds that high vibration neutrality when needed.
I
you
usually
mean
stay quiet and
you mean
chime in when I need.
he's got the biggest no bullshit meter.
Yeah. I'm
Mhm.
always in a state of observation.
Yeah, that's the number one thing.
When Homer
Yeah.
Um,
starts talking, then you're in trouble. If he's quiet, then
I think I
everything is.
did that two meetings ago. I kind of spoke a lot.
You
well, I
went
think it
off.
was, yeah, no, we were, but I think we were having so much activity that when we said, hey guys, talk amongst yourself, everybody went to go break for 15 minutes. I think we ended up taking over the conversation. A lot of people were listening because what we were speaking on, and they wanted to expand further.
Well, whenever I
So
talk about the different star people, it's like
it's
you
like,
need
oh,
someone to
you're
tell me to shut up because
Yeah, yeah.
I
same
can keep
here.
going. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah,
Uh,
same here.
Ariana's suggesting too, and this has come up too. Uh, broadcasting in Spanish. So anyway, I'm just putting that out there. Anybody that's interested in pursuing something like that, we'd be.
Yeah, whoever would be, because my Spanish is what
Me
my
too.
coworker says. totally bad.
Hablo español un poquito, tito. Pero
Poquito,
estoy
poquito.
tratando de aprenderlo.
Same
That's,
here with my Filipino. I have the California accent mixed in with it, and
you know, Medina is a very common name in the Philippines. I
it
didn't know that.
is.
I
Yes,
didn't
it
know
is.
that, and I was looking at the demographics of Soulogy, I don't know, 6 months ago, and it was like 9 or 10 was like Philippines. What's up with that?
Hmm.
And I do have a friend over there that's he's a really powerful. I don't know if he's a priest or a pastor. Very powerful guy, straight
Oh
up
yeah,
there.
there's many healers and psychic surgeons and
Yeah.
people. I mean, I have a good friend. She she grew up the same way I did. Her grandparents were opening up portals in San Francisco and um, things flying out left and right. So she was growing up with seeing spirits as well. She would be
Right.
perfect on this show too.
Ariana says she speaks Spanish very well, so that we have one. So yeah, let's do it again sometime, Homer. Would you be
Okay,
interested in collaborating again?
thank
I,
you.
I think Delia will be up for that too. And yeah, you got great energy,
I
and thanks
feel
for
blessed to be asked to be on here, so
well,
thank you so much.
thank you, Delia, and
Oh,
Thank you, Delia.
great choice. And thank you for honoring us with your presence and sharing yourself with us. And I look forward to doing it again.
Thank you.
All right,
thank you so
you
much,
take care.
Homer.
Thank you. Bye.